बैक टू आवर यूट्यूब चैनल बी हॉप किड्स। क्लास में हम स्टार्ट करेंगे क्वेश्चन नंबर 14, राइट। बिफोर स्टार्ट क्वेश्चन नंबर 14 we have a little bit discuss about our channel. The most of the students they are confused in the syllabus, what type of syllabus we are covering here. We are exactly covering the syllabus. It's a Kalyani publisher, right? Being a long time we are studying the Kalyani publisher, that's why I choose to Kalyani publisher. And those are students preferring other authors, and they have the doubts in some transactions, some new questions. No problem, go and comment section and comment about the transactions, then we will reply very shortly then what type of the transaction is there, and that transaction whether it will enter into the trading account and profit and loss account and then balance it, right? We will confirm you. But here another part of the discuss is our channel is very slowly growing because of you know that it's a newly open, and you should help of our channel to grow, and you should subscribe. And if you are newly on our channel, then please go and subscribe and press bell icon so that the notification will inform you the coming of new videos, right? So let's have a look. Question number 14 mentioned here. So question number 14, Abraham started business on 1st April 2023. Stock on 31st March 2024 was rupees 15,000, right? From the following figures extracted from his books, prepare trading and profit and loss account for the year ending 31st March 2024. So basically here mentioned the business started 1st April 2023. So it's the opening period. In a financial accounting, the opening year is the 1st April, as we know that the closing period is 31st March, right? So if the 1st April 2023 is the opening period, then the closing should be 31st March 2024. And the stock on 31st March 2024 was valued 15,000. It means at the year ending the stock was valued rupees 15,000, means it's a closing stock, right? So here the 15,000 is a closing stock. From the following figure extracted from his books, prepare trading and profit and loss account. Then we have to prepare here profit and loss account, and for the year ending 31st March 2024, and balance sheet as on that date, right? So first we have to prepare the balance sheet, trading account, then profit and loss account, then balance sheet. It means here the question saying about, then you have to prepare the final account, right? So here final account, some trial balances is given here, account balances is given here, and here the debit balances, and here the credit balances, right? So one by one we will study each and every transaction, and we will confirm about whether the transaction will enter into the trading account or profit and loss account or in the balance sheet, right? So let's have a look. The first transaction is here, the machinery and plant. Machinery and plant, it's a 12,000, right? So machinery and plant, as we know that it's an asset, right? So it's a fixed asset for the business. As because the fixed asset of the business, then machinery and plant should enter in balance sheet. And whether side of the balance sheet, it's a asset side, right? B for balance sheet, A for asset side. Okay. Freehold premises, similarly freehold premises will enter, it's a fixed asset, it will enter in a balance sheet. On which side? It's a asset side. Wages is normally paying on production cost, right? So here the wages will enter in a trading account, and trading account on which side? It's a debit side, right? So wages is a kind of expenses which is paying on wages, right? Purchase, when we purchase a raw material for the production, it is regarded as production unit, right? So it will enter in a trading account, and on which side? It's a debit side. Okay. Then cash in hand, here it's a asset, it's a current asset. Whatever the current asset or the fixed asset, it should be entered into the balance sheet. On which side? The asset side, right? It's a compulsory. So here the cash in hand being a current asset, but still it will enter into balance sheet. on which side? It's the asset side. So first machinery and plant amount is 12,000, then freehold premises 24,000, then purchases it's a 14,500, cash in hand, sorry, purchases it's a 60,000, then cash in hand it's a 500, right? Then salaries here it's a normally enter in profit and loss account. On which side? It's a debit side, because salary is related to the sales department, right? Carriage as we know, it's a transporting cost on raw materials, so it will enter into the trading account. And it is expenses, though it is expenses, then it will enter into the debit side. Okay. Rent is related to the sales department, right? So here the rent are paying, and though the rent are paying, then it's a expenses and it will enter profit and loss account. On which side? Debit side. Okay. So amount is given here, the 5,000, 2,000, 500, 2,000 and 800 and 700 and 500. Okay. Then Abraham's drawing here, the 3,200, right? 3,200. And before that insurance is here. Insurance will enter the profit and loss account, and it's a debit side. Normally insurance are regarded with the sales department, right? And it will enter the profit and loss account on debit side. Abraham's drawing in a partnership business, as we have discussed here before, the many of the time in our videos we have discussed about the drawings, right? In a normally partnership business, the drawings is a kind of loan, right? When the partners require a necessary expenses, it means there, suppose a partner has a daughter marriage, or suddenly the medical expenses is there, then the partners prefer to issue loan from their own business rather than the other banks, right? It will easy to them, right? So in that context they are issuing some loans. That loans is called in our accounting, it's a drawings. So it's Abraham's own business, and Abraham's his self drawings here, an amount rupees 3,200. Okay, it will enter into the balance sheet. So drawings, it's kind of liability just because it's a loan issued from the bank, from the business, and this loan will be given in a future, right? And particularly for this period the drawing is a loan, that is why it will enter the balance side. On which side? The balance sheet on capital side, capital and liability, right? So sundry debtor here, it's an asset, right? So sundry debtor is an asset. Sundry debtor means little bit more debtors are having very low amount, they are called sundry debtors, and their amount will enter, it will a current asset, and their amount will enter similarly balance sheet. On which side? The asset side. Okay. Motive power and heating, it is related with the production, that's why it will enter into the trading account, right? Okay. So trading account to which side? It's a debit side, just because it is a kind of expenses. Interest on loan, suppose we have issued a loan from the bank, right, and we are paying interest on that loan at the end of the year, so that interest will be regarded as, it's a expenses, and it will be entered into the profit and loss account. On which side? It's a debit side. Carriage outward here, carriage outward is expenses. Carriage, there are the two types of carriage inward and the carriage outward. If the carriage inward is there, then the carriage, it is a transportation cost, it will pay on purchase of raw materials, right? If carriage inward is there. If carriage outward is there, then this is kind of the also transportation cost, but it is related with the sales, right? So here the carriage outward and it is related to the sales, that is why it will enter into the profit and loss account. it's a debit side. Bills receivable. Bills receivable. Bills receivable, it's a fixed asset. Bills receivable, it's a kind of agreement in which the debtors agrees with you that he should purchase on credit and in future he will pay the whole amount, right? So that bills receivable, it's a asset for the business and it will enter the balance sheet on which side? Asset side. Sales is a 80,000 cost is mentioning here. That credit side we are going to sales here mentioned 80,000, right? And sales will enter into trading account on which side? It's a debit side, as we know many of the time. Sundry creditors, as sundry debtors, similarly little bit creditors are there, they have the lower amount, right? And you have purchased some materials in a very low cost, but that on credit, right? If it is a credit on that credit, then it is called sundry creditor on which we have to pay in future. And the sundry creditor here, the 3,000, and it will enter balance sheet on which side? Capital and liability side, because it is a one kind of liability we have to pay in the future, right? Bills payable, as bills receivable is a asset, similarly bills payable it is a the liability. As the liability, why? Just because the bills payable it is also kind of agreement as like as the bills receivable. Like when we purchase the raw materials on credit and we promises to pay in future to our creditor, then we make an agreement. That agreement is called bills payable, right? So it is a one kind of liability. That's why bills payable it will enter into balance sheet on which side? Capital and liability side. As I mentioned here, the capital means capital and liability side. One of the side is the capital and liability and the another side is the asset side. Okay. Bankers here, bankers normally students are confusing. Bankers means cash at bank. Sometimes student considering bankers as the cash at bank, but it is not a cash at bank. Bankers means those banks which have issued loan for our business, right? So there are the suppose few of the banks and we are getting loan from that bank. So all the banks are bankers for our business, right? And these bankers are giving us loan. In that context we call them, it's a liability for the business and we call them, it's a bankers. As it is liability, then it will enter in balance sheet on which side? The capital and liability side. Loan on mortgage, it's clearly mentioning here the loan on mortgage. Mortgage means any kind of, suppose you have fixed asset on your business and you want to mortgage it with your bank, right? And you want to issue some loans on that fixed asset. It is called the loan on mortgage and it will enter into the balance sheet on which side? Capital and liability side, right? It is a kind of liability. Abraham's capital, Abraham's own investment in his business, right? It is amount of 30,000 here the mention. So amount here 80,000, 3,000, 2,500, 2,500, 7,000, then 30,000. Last it's a capital. Then many of the students they have the thinking that then sir is covering the Kalyani publisher. The question number 14 is mentioned there, but our question is not matching with the books. Then what should we do? Then here what we have to do? Then you have to need not to worry about question number and the year 2000 here 24 mentioning, as we know that the revised edition in every year is launched, right? So most of the students they are preferring revised edition rather than the old edition. They are thinking the revised edition will be better as compared to old edition. In that context, most of the students they purchasing revised edition. In the revised editions, what the problem is there? The problem is little bit is there. The number of basic questions get changed and some new questions are attached to that book, right? If the number of the question is changed, and the year is similarly getting changed as the accounting period is going on. This year is 2025, so we are making closing entries of 2025, 2024. Similarly, after 5 years, the closing period will be changed, right? So similarly, you have to read the question and check the all transactions with their amounts, right? If once the question and the transaction and their amounts is confirmed with your textbook, then answer of that question is available on our channel, right? You need not to worry about. If there is some question is new questions are there in your revised editions, then no problem. Go and in comment section and comment about that question, then we will prepare a separate video for you, and it will launch to the YouTube channel, so that you will cover your whole syllabus on your at your own home, right? Okay. So here we have studied all the transactions bit by bit and their entries, whether the entries will be trading account, profit and loss account, or the balance sheet, or on which side, debit or credit side, or the asset and capital and liability side, right? So question number 14 we have studied bit by bit. Then you have to take a screenshot. Then after we will come to the solution, right? Okay, then we have prepared here the format of question number 14. In the format, the first format will trading account, trading and profit and loss account of Abraham. Here you have to mention the capital letter, right? You have to write in a capital letter. It's a mandatory, compulsory. Trading account, trading and profit and loss account of Abraham. Here the name is Abraham given, that's why we put the name Abraham. In your book, suppose the name is changed, then you have to put as the name mentioned in your book. And then the second line, for the year ending 31st March 2024, here the closing period is 24, that's why we put the closing period 24. In your book, suppose closing period is 23, 24, 25, then you have to put that here, right? But you have to write this sentence in a small letter, it's a compulsory. Now we see that the left side, it's a debit balance, their particulars and amounts. Here the particular amount and it's a credit side, right? So first we prepare trading account, then we'll come to the profit and loss account, right? So let's have a look what kind of entries will enter in the trading account. We already have discussed, right? Okay. So the first entry is to purchase. Important part here in this question, the opening stock is not given, right? If opening stock is not given, then you will start from the purchase. If opening stock is given, then you have to write opening stock first, right? So purchase amount rupees 60,000. To wages, $14,500. To carriage, $800. To motive power, lighting and heating, amount rupees 1,600. Okay, so debit balances of trading account would complete here, right? Now we'll start the credit side of trading account. So here the first entry will be the sales, right? By sales, it's a 80,000. and then closing stock. As we know, closing stock was mentioned at the headline of the question, right? The closing stock at the end of the 2024 was valued 15,000. So that closing stock will enter here 15,000 by closing stock. Okay, now we have to do the tally. Means we add the value here. The total amount is 95,000. Okay, 95,000, it's an income side and this is the expenditure side, right? Income side is greater than the expenditure side, so that's why it will be gross profit, right? So to gross profit, it's a carried down. Now you have to minus the balance from 95,000. These expenses 60,000, 14,500, 800 and 1,600. If you minus all these expenses from that amount 95,000, then you will get 18,100, right? 18,100. We already have checked earlier that it will not waste our time in videos, right? Now you at your own home, if you are studying and watching our videos, now you have the calculation here. You can do the calculation 95,000, then minuses all the expenses, then you will find out the 18,100, right? Okay. So tally both the side 95,000, here the 95,000 also. Now trading count is complete. Then we will start. It's a profit and loss account. At the profit and loss account, the first gross profit will transfer to the by gross profit. Here brought down, here carried down. Now I brought it here down, so brought down. So brought down amount 18,100. So first transaction get entered, right? Now the debit side entries will enter. So the first entry is 2 salaries. It's a 2,000. 2 rent. It's a 700. 2 insurance. 500. 2 interest on loan. 2 interest on loan. It's a 200. 2 carriage outward, right? So carriage outward, it's a 300. Okay, so all the transactions of a profit and loss account, debit side balances already have been entered here, right? Now we coming to the credit side. Already the gross profit has been transferred from carried down to the brought down 18,100. The next transaction of credit side, here the buy, nothing the here sorry, it's a nothing. Any transaction is given in this question as form of income. If there is the form of income, any transaction is income, then we have to put forward here, right? Otherwise, if it is not given, then if you have to compare the 18,100 is a total profit, and minus all these expenses you will get the net profit, right? So to net profit, here in bracket you have to write down transfer to capital account. It means this amount will add to the capital when we will prepare the balance sheet, right? In the balance sheet, this net profit will transfer to the capital and it will add to the capital amount, right? If there is the net loss in absence of the net profit is there, the net loss is there, then it will less from the capital account. But both the transactions, net profit and net loss, will transfer to the capital account. If the net profit is there, then it will add. If net loss is there, then it will be less from the capital. So we already have minus all these expenses. We get that the net profit, it's a 14,400, right? Now tally both the side. 14,400 we already have calculated earlier, right? Because we are not wasting our time in videos. So that's why if you have any doubt, then you can minus all the expenses 2,700, 500, 200, 300 from 18,100, then you will get the answer 14,400 as net profit, right? So tally both the side, it's 18,100. Here 18,100. Point to be noted that then your tally line should be in a same the same parallel line, right? So here 18,100, same parallel line, 18,100 here, right? Now we have prepared the trading and profit and loss account. Then you have to take the screenshot, then after we will come to the balance sheet, right? Okay, here we have prepared the balance sheet, format of balance sheet, right, of question number 14. Then you have to write the balance sheet of Abraham on a capital letter, it's a compulsory. Then the second line, as on 31st March 2024, the closing period is 24 and we write here the 24. And this balance sheet of Abraham, so we write the name of Abraham, right? But the first line should be capital and the second line should be small letter. Now this side is the capital and liabilities transaction will enter, and this side the asset transactions will enter, right? Okay. So first we will prepare the capital and liability side. The first amount of capital you have to write down here, capital. So capital amount we will not put in that into the direct box, just because some calculation is here. So balance sheet is capital is 30,000, right? Now you have to add net profit. This net profit transfer from the profit and loss account transfer to the capital account, right? Now we transfer to the capital account, and net profit add to the net profit to the capital. It's a 14,400 and add it. It's a 44,400. Then less drawings. Abraham's own drawing, right? It's a drawings 3,200. We have already discussed about it before that if something is the drawing is there, then it should be calculated on the balance sheet and it will minus from the balance sheet from the capital amount, right? So here the 44,400 minus 3,200, then the answer will get 41,200, right? Okay. Now sundry creditor. Sundry creditor, it's a 3,000. Bills payable, $2,500. then bankers, it's a liability, right? 2500. Then loan on mortgage, loan on mortgage is 7000, right? Okay, the total capital and liability side transactions have been completed, right? Then you have to tally the whole amount. If you add whole the amount, then you will get answer 56,200. Right? We have calculated earlier, right? That should not waste our time. So at your home, if you are studying and watching our videos, then you can calculate, add all this amount, then you will get the final tally amount, that is 56,200. Amount, it's a 12,000. Then freehold premises, it's a 24,000. If you add whole amount, then you will get the 56,000, it's a 200. The asset side and the capital and liability side should match, both the sides should be equal. If it is not equal, then your calculation is wrong, something wrong in maybe trading account, maybe in profit and loss account, or maybe in balance sheet, right? So balance sheet confirm you that you have prepared the account perfectly, right? Now you take a screenshot. Class we have covered the question number 14. As we know that the question is too lengthy and their solution also too lengthy, it is not possible to cover all the questions in a single video or the more than one question in a single videos. That's why we are preparing the videos in a part wise, right? And if you are prefer our study channel is a very best, and you prefer, you thinking it is a good channel for your study, then please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon so that the notification information you will get, right? And share to the most of the students as far as possible, just because the most of the students are there, those are very poor, they are not affordable their monthly tuition fees. So this channel purpose is to spread the quality and free education, so that even the needy student and poor student, then they can cover their whole syllabus at their own home, right? Now you may have confused today why I am speaking in English. Normally the 99% classes are in Hindi, but today I prefer the English language. But sometimes I thinking about that I will take some videos about on Oriya language also, because I am frequent in three languages, Oriya, Hindi and English, right? Why I choose the Hindi language rather than the other languages? Just because the most of the student, they are acquainted with the the Hindi language. The CHSC student normally they are the most of the students from in the CHSC from the Oriya medium, and some of the students from the CHSC in the CHSC from the English medium, right? It is not a problem to the English medium student, may sometimes problem to the Oriya medium student, may sometimes problems to the English medium student also. Why? If I speak in Oriya, then it is good for the students from Oriya background, right? Then those are coming from the English medium school, right? They have some problems in Oriya language, right? That's why I choose the Hindi. It will help out all of you, right? Now today I prefer in English language. Some of the students, they approach and tell me that, sir, you should prepare at least a single video in English language, then we will want to see that. So in that context we have prepared these videos in English language, right? In the next classes we will prepare the remaining questions, right? And the remaining questions will come, I think it will be Hindi, maybe English, maybe Oriya, right? But most of the videos will be in Hindi, right? Have a good day.